It's Wildcard weekend in the NFL, and let's talk about these matchups. Now, I got 3 matchups that I feel like are the most interesting. Let's put it like that. And I'm going to talk you through those. What's good, everybody? This is Jay with Unfair Sports. Thank you so much for checking us out, where we take a pensive approach to the sports conversation. You can get your sports news and analysis from anywhere else in the world, but you chose to ride with us, and we definitely appreciate that. On this video, we're going to talk through the wild card weekend of the NFL playoffs. And I got 3 games that I want to highlight because I feel like they're the most pivotal of them all. And the last game I want to talk about is Cleveland Browns taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah, you may have thought I would have picked the Ravens versus the Titans, even though that one's going to be a super intriguing game. I think this game's going to be a lot more interesting. This is why. First off, the Browns are making the playoffs for the first time since 2002. Wow. I mean, that was the last time my Buccaneers won a Super Bowl and looked relevant, but this team just ain't made the playoffs. They just ain't done anything. So, 0-2. Browns playoffs. Now they're in. They ended their drought, and they're going to Pittsburgh to play them for the 2nd time in a row and the 3rd time this season, as they are AFC North rivals. So since the Browns beat the Steelers 24-22 last week to get to the playoffs, remember they did play Mason Rudolph and a bunch of 2nd stringers and 3rd stringers for Pittsburgh in that game and barely beat them. They also played without their coach. So Stefanski looks like he may not even be able to coach this game due to testing positive for COVID-19. And so the rules in the NFL is that if you're not in the stadium, you can't communicate with the team. They have a strict ban on utilizing electronic devices that are outside of the stadium to communicate. So, because of that, Stefanski can't travel technically to Pittsburgh for that game, mainly because he tested positive for COVID-19. Don't want him spreading it to anybody. And so, there were rumors about pushing the game back a few days to see if he gets some negative tests and can go coach. But it doesn't look like it's going to happen. I think the NFL is going to go ahead and draw a line in the sand and say that we're going to move forward with this game, whether you like it or not. And I don't see them bending and making an exception for Stefanski to be able to call plays, as he is really the play caller, from home while the team is in Pittsburgh. Now, a lot of people are objecting to it and trying to figure out why that's an issue or whatnot. NFL has its reasons. There could be, if you think about it, there's potentially advantages of seeing it from that vantage point in comparison to seeing it right there on the field. Similar to how all of you feel like you are head coaches and GMs when you sit on your couch and your armchair quarterbacks, because you can see the field so much better than the quarterback can from the field, which that is a true statement. From a distance, the picture is a lot clearer. That does not mean that it is better. But for a coach with the mind of Stefanski and the mind of an NFL coach, that could be a real advantage throughout the game. So they're not going to allow him to do that. So because of that, now their play calling is going to go to the offensive coordinator, which I do not know his name. I did not look that up. I did not do the research in that portion of it because I don't think it's relevant. Their main play caller is their head coach. And so now Baker Mayfield's going to have to go out there with their OC and figure this out and make it happen. Do I see it happening? Nah, I think Pittsburgh's just a better overall team, even though Big Ben looks like a shell of himself as age is kicking in at 37? So I don't see the Browns winning this game, but it's going to be a lot more intriguing to see how hard they fight to get further into the playoffs and how much work they put into Pittsburgh, because Pittsburgh has not been looking very good. They're probably one of the worst, 11-5 teams in the NFL. I mean, they went 11-0 to start, and they just have not looked good ever since. And it's mainly because, as a team, they're not as good as you would have thought they were going to be. They looked like a championship contender at one point, but they've lost 4 of their last 5. So they're 12-4. My apologies, not 11-5. 12-4. They've lost 4 of their last 5. And they looked bad in every single one of them. They should have lost 2 more. They should have lost to the Ravens twice. And that's on the Ravens. One, they didn't have Lamar Jackson in one of the games. And the second one, Lamar Jackson cost them the game with all his turnovers throughout and at the end. If he didn't throw that pick 6, Baltimore wins that game. Hindsight's 50-50, so we're not going to go too deep into that. But my point is, Pittsburgh is a shell of itself, especially after they started seeing injuries to the linebacker corps. That team is defensive focused. Mike Tomlin built them as a defensive team. They are all about that. And the minute they start losing those linebackers and start going really down the depth chart, that's when you start seeing them be exposed. Offensively, Juju Smith-Schuster is showing that he cannot get the right separation to make himself better without an Antonio Brown next to him. Even though he has Claypool, who has become like a fantasy darling right now, along with Deontay Johnson. They have to figure out how to get Juju to get the separation as a number 1 that he's commanding from defenses. And then Ben's got to give him the ball. Ben doesn't look like he's throwing it very well deep. He has his moments, but age is showing, and Ben is known for being beat up. He's been beat up most of his career because, he's a towering guy, he's super strong, and he doesn't just fall down. He doesn't lay down to the competition. He takes shots. And when you take shots, your body reminds you about those shots over time. So we have to see what exactly the Steelers are going to have game planned to get the ball out of Ben's hands quickly so that Myles Garrett doesn't get to him. And at the same time, establish a run game because James Conner has not been James Conner this year. And Benny Snell has not been able to be James Conner either. So, because of that, this is going to be an intriguing game. I'm going to call that the Steelers win. It's going to be a close one. But it's good to see Cleveland back in the playoffs. And hopefully next year, they do it again and go a little bit further. So Baker Mayfield, this is on you. Show us what you got. I'm rooting for you because I'm in Oklahoma and you played at OU. But at the same time, you got to prove the naysayers. Everybody's still doubting you. Show them. Put that chip on your shoulder and show them why they're making a mistake by doubting.